Welcome to the Super Bowl video of the Fanatics, Super Bowl 59 video of the Fanatics. We have Jets Dave here. We'll have Collin on a little bit later. We got Zach. Madison has the flu. Um, but we're here. So what's going on, guys?
Not too much.
Not
Zach?
much. I just got over the flu, so I'm feeling great.
Yep, you passed it virtually.
Yeah.
Yeah, last weekend
Something
was
going
not
on
a
in
fun
that.
time watching. That
Something
NFC
going on in that.
Championship game was not fun, man, in my
Something going on
household.
in that Pennsylvania air. Hope
Yes,
good
sir.
thing the Super Bowl's in New Orleans.
Hmm.
But yeah. So we got Dave here. We haven't had Dave on since the wild card. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna try to touch up on everything. I mean, Dave. Uh, what did you think of the playoffs as a whole? I mean,
I would say good, considering the fact the two teams I said were going to be in the Super Bowl are in the Super Bowl.
yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, did you just lose video? We're good. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think it was pretty. Was this obvious of what was going to happen? Like realistically, when you look at it.
I mean, the Lions though was a surprise. I mean, that's honestly would be my surprise. I mean, I didn't expect them to go down. I mean, I know Washington's a tough team. I mean, I like I told you, I like Jaden Daniels. I know Zach likes Jaden Daniels, so it was good to see him. But it was shocking to see Detroit. I would have thought that Philly would have had to go to Detroit, but it definitely worked out for the Eagles. That happened to get home field advantage throughout the playoffs. So.
So I mean, yeah, I think when you look at it, I mean, what do you think these two teams? What were their paths like to the Super Bowl? Like, what was their? I don't know how to word it. Like, they're they're two different paths. One is the Chiefs are sitting there being talked about like Patrick Mahomes is Jesus Christ, and Jalen Hurts is talked about like he's not a good football player. But I mean, what do you think the two paths are like that bring us to where we are?
I mean, for me, that's a tough one. Just because I thought about it when you sent me the question for it. It's tough because I mean the Chiefs, and I think the only reason they're getting this type of their type of talk, you got to think they'd be the first team ever to three-peat. You know what I mean? So I mean that's tough in today's age to do that, at least in the NFL. I mean they might get questionable lucky calls from the refs. I mean, but at the same time, the Patriots used to get it back in the day. I experienced that a lot. Obviously, being a Jet fan, we're playing the Patriots, especially Tom Brady in his prime time. So, but I mean, to me, the Chiefs are the new Patriots of that era. But yeah, I think so. I mean, I don't like that Jalen doesn't get enough credit as he does. I think he's one of the better quarterbacks in the league. But you got to think too. The Eagles are blessed to have such a dynamic player like Saquon Barkley. I mean, he makes a difference, and the defense has been stellar this year. So,
Yeah, I mean, I know Zach knows this, and I believe I brought it up to you on Christmas. Actually, Dave, keep going back to Christmas every time we talk to each other. I've said that the Chiefs are the worst 15-2 team I've ever seen because they're winning so many games by close margins, and not that that's a bad thing. The end result is still a W. It doesn't matter in the end. But I believe we're gonna have a guest in our. But yeah. I mean,
what are you doing?
I think when you look at it, I think the I feel like they're the worst 15-2 team I ever watched. I talked about it all year. All
It's
year I
weird
said
to
the same
watch a
thing.
team. It's weird to watch a team win that many games. I mean, they've won a lot of games by one score. And I mean, the last game they lost to Denver was a whatever kind of game. So
That doesn't count.
it's
Yeah.
it, yeah. I mean, it's been a really that's the biggest thing that I've questioned this past week is, are we playing a good Kansas City team, or are we playing the aura of Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid? because you put it on paper, the Eagles, besides the quarterback and coach, which you can debate those two. They're both great players on the Eagles and great coach. I think so at least. Um, but on paper, the Eagles blow them away. There's nothing that really can match up in my mind. So it's been different paths, and I think the Eagles have somehow grinded it out more because of the adversity they faced throughout the year. The Kansas City Chiefs are kind of like that perfect organization where nothing really goes wrong. It's the shoe fits kind of thing. So um, I I mean I'm not exactly the most confident in a one score game in the Super Bowl against Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. But I think the way they've won games throughout the year is not a consistently good way to win games. There's teams where they should have blown out and they did not. They're not scoring a lot of points like they usually do. It's not the same kind of Kansas City Super Bowl caliber team.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that could just be a lot to do with some of their star players being older, things like that. Um, I mean, Kelsey didn't really pick it up until what, playoff time. At least it's
Well,
what
it's
it felt
playoff
like.
Kelsey.
Yeah, that's just in his blood. All right, so where were we? Let's jump into. You kind of already touched on it. I agree with you. But who was the biggest surprise this year in the playoffs? I mean, obviously, I feel like it's Washington, but let's hear what you have to say.
Well, yeah, for me, like I said, it got to be Washington. I mean, they went definitely, way above beyond where I think they were, going to head, heading into the playoffs. So, I mean, that's definitely to me my biggest surprise. Them getting to the conference championship game and obviously beating the number one, seed like Detroit to do that. So,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you have to you have to give them their respect, right? I mean, they weren't supposed to be there, and they're going to be a really good football team. Just not yet. Just not yet. Zach, I know you brought that up a few times last time. I'm assuming you still feel same.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of saw it happening. I think there was I think you I predicted that they would go into Detroit and win.
Hmm.
And I didn't. Everybody else is kind of like, Jane Daniels hasn't played in a big game, and I said it too. But at the same time, I didn't think that Detroit's defense could really contain him like we could, and that was proven pretty easily. So
I mean, you
I'm
did
still.
call
I
it
think they're a couple years away, but a lot of people want to go play there. I mean, Miles Garrett today said that Washington was kind of a player in there. So
right.
yeah,
I mean, and you kind of touched on it. I mean, he does have. It's not like he's not playing big time college football either. I mean, he's
right.
at LSU. It's not like he hasn't played against big name players. That most of
One
those
of
guys are in
one
the
of
NFL, anyways.
one of Nick Saban's last losses. So
Yeah, I mean, so
and
it's
Nick Saban himself said it. That dude's just a baller. So that's coming from high praises.
and it definitely is. It's gonna be a fun over the next few years, unless if they mess him up like they did RG3. But yeah, I mean, it's should be good stuff. So I guess the next question is do do we think we're is these the two best teams?
I
Absolutely.
mean, yeah, I feel heading into it. Yes. I mean, even though the Lions got the first seed, I mean, you guys were right there too. So it could have went. I mean, and then Minnesota was there too. Even though, unfortunately, they, for Viking fans like Uncle Chris and them, they were quite fraudulent. I mean,
Right.
Sam just had two horrible back to back games, and they were exposed.
Yeah,
Right.
very exposed.
Yeah, because I don't know. I hate saying things like this, but I know for the whole time, I don't think there was a single team that I looked at in the NFC and went, eh, they might beat us.
Yeah.
I didn't feel that way. And I hate saying stuff like that because I had been on the opposite side of those feelings, and then you end up being like broken for like the next till September. But like it just felt like there wasn't a team that was even close, at least as a complete team. So.
Yeah, it's kind
Like,
of felt that way since 2022, since the last Super Bowl we played the Chiefs. I mean, 2023, it was kind of the same thing. You thought it was going to be a rematch again, and it wasn't because we imploded. But uh, I think coming into this season, it was kind of expected to be Kansas City versus the Eagles in New Orleans. So kind of glad it played out this way. I'm glad to be in this
yeah,
position as an Eagle fan.
you know, I think a lot of people forget about last year and how we just completely collapsed because of coaching, but we realistically could be playing the Chiefs for the third time in a row.
Yeah.
If everything went the way you would it would have went in 23. Because before the collapse and losing to the Jets and things like that, the 23 Eagles were a really good football team. I mean, they beat Buffalo with the Jalen Hurts walk off, and then from there it was just like this a big collapse of coaching disaster. But we realistically are looking at least the last 3 years, the three best teams besides San Francisco and Detroit and those teams. So I feel like I know who everyone's key player is for each team, but why don't you tell me anyways? And let's hear it.
Well, I have a different. So what about? I think we both know it's Patrick Mahomes and Saquon Barkley,
Hmm.
offensively at least, for both teams. But what about like what do you rate the top five players in this game for both teams? Top
No,
five cumulatively.
number one isn't Jalen Hurts or Saquon Barkley as much as everyone's going to
Yeah.
act like it is. It's Jalen Carter.
Mm.
Uh, at least that's my opinion. Is if you can keep the pressure going up front, and you have to, there's the man is a monster, and I just at least when I look at it, I think that's your number one guy going into this, and then you have um who's going to be lining up with Kelsey mostly. Is it going to end up who's going to take that role? Is it going to be Reed? Is it going to be
It's
is
gonna be. I
Coop
think
going
it's
to
gonna be both of them.
Reed
The
and
exciting whites
Coop?
against Travis Kelsey.
White guys versus white guys.
White dudes on white dudes.
Wait, dudes on white
Dudes
dudes.
on dudes.
Dudes on dudes. So I mean, I that's what I think. I mean, I think my for offensive standpoint, I'm only thinking of Jalen and Saquon, and the rest all just falls on the defense because I know the offense is going to put up points because I know Saquon's going to break the 60-yard run. I know that's going to happen. It's just when.
Mm.
What do you got? Because I think you have a list or something in front of you. That's why you're talking.
I don't, but I've thought about it a lot because I've heard this question before. Um, in my mind, I mean, just because of the fact that Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes is going for a three-peat, I'd probably put him there at number one. And then second will be Jalen Carter because I think that needs to be the game-wrecking piece against Patrick Mahomes in that kind of game plan. Um, third, it would probably be Barkley. Fourth, I'd say as far as the game plan goes, you got to shut down Kelsey because the other receivers are, let's face it, they're not all
They're
pro
older.
receivers. Not yeah, they're good. Don't get me wrong, serviceable, but it's not AJ Brown and Devontae Smith. So I would go there. Um, Number four, I would say it's probably the combination of Reed Blankenship and Cooper DeJean. Because those two have to be not only on Kelsey, but it has to be on the running backs as well. Because it's not just Kareem Hunt anymore. It's Isaiah Pachenko and Kareem Hunt. There's a two-headed punch there. So it's a very good running back room. It's not, maybe the two of them could equal a Saquon Barkley-esque running back, but it's a tandem. It's not just one person coming at you. So it's a little different. And then number five, I had kind of a toss-up between Kansas City center Creed Humphrey because he's a vital part of their offense. He's very very good, and I think for me it comes down to Zach Bond. I think he's going to be a very very vital piece in doing whatever you want to do defensively as far as Vic Fangio's thinking. So I think he's ready for the game of his life.
And he's playing for money.
That's my five. Yeah, he's playing for a lot of money too,
He's playing for a
not
lot of
just
money.
yeah.
Not just a ring. He's playing for a lot of money.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
back where he started as a
yeah,
special teams player. What a story.
yeah, yep. So we're expecting Cooper DeJean and Saquon to have nice birthdays.
Yeah. Very, very
Okay,
thoughtful
okay.
birthdays.
Thoughtful birthdays. Did you see the video? I mean the tweet that LeBron said, "I didn't mean to not show Reed and
Both white
Drew
guys. It
Love."
wasn't just Reed.
He just like
Both
ditched
white guys.
both white guys. He walked right by
Yeah, rich white guys sitting courtside. Who cares, right?
him.
Whatever.
Man. So I gave the next question a lot of thought. Um, and is what do you think the final score is going to be? I want Dave to go first.
Yeah.
And then Zach, you could follow.
I mean, I have it, as a close game. Because you got to think the Eagles, I mean, they have a really good defense. You know what I mean? So I feel like if Pat was to pull it off and get that three-peat, it would probably be later in the game. I mean, from what I've seen, I mean, watching, because I rewatched a little bit of the last time you guys played them in the Super. I mean, it was a close game. I mean, it could have went either way. I think obviously having Saquon this time, he's the real difference maker to me. I think if you could run over 100 yards, which is obviously very easy for him, I mean, I could see that being a tough day. So in the end, I have it 24-17. Like I said to you guys when I was on 2 weeks ago, it'd be like like maybe a pass to, I don't know, AJ Brown or someone to win a game or something for the Eagles or something like that, or maybe something to Saquon.
Zach.
I kind of like to think that it's going to be a lower scoring game because of defense on the Eagles side. But if it is that kind of game, I expect it to be a 27-24 Eagles win, maybe 27-21 if it's a little bit more lopsided in a lower scoring game. But my gut kind of tells me it's going to be more of a 34-25 Eagles win.
So
Um,
I'm pretty close
that
with
kind
you.
of matchup.
So I put 31-24,
Mm-hmm.
and I do think it's gonna come down to the defense. Obviously, this is the best defense that Kansas City has played all year. It's the best offense they probably played all year too. If we're gonna be
Mm-hmm.
realistic, so
I got the stats here if you want me to read them.
well,
Or
the
we can
thing
say
that I
them.
want to point out is I was gonna touch on this during our next topic, but Jalen has always played really well versus the Kansas City Chiefs, and I know we don't. That just kind of like flies under the radar, but
Yeah.
I
He
mean,
kind of had
in
a
the Super,
fire in his eye at the media day, so I'm with you there.
like, I just feel like there's there's something about it. He knows what's at stake. He's still gonna get talked crap about for the rest of his career. That's just gonna fall under who he is. But I don't know. I saw that look, and did you see when, like they showed him walking in the back, and he just looks at the TV, and he just kind of no no. I see a look of somebody who is ready to play some big football. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
going 31-24. Um,
Okay.
that's now we've done this on the Phillies podcast once in a while, and I always have really fun when I randomly bring something up that's completely different. Um,
Ooh.
and I know that I believe some of us are ready for it. I don't know if you are, Zach, because I don't think you were gonna get ready for it. But I did. I wanted to do the our top 5 Super Bowls that we watched. I mean, Dave's
Mm-hmm.
gonna have some older ones on there, not but his is gonna be a little less dealing with Tom Brady and have some other stuff in it probably. So that's good. Um,
Cool.
but I'm excited to hear it. I love lists and I love hearing about why. So come on, Dave. Let's
No,
hear.
I've watched all the Super Bowls. Just saying. So I've watched them, but I don't have there's one in there that's old for me. I did do it, Nick. I didn't
Oh, look at you.
push it aside.
I
I
mean,
did do it. But
I've
there's
watched a
one in
lot.
there that I was young for, but I watched a couple times and I like it. So
I have one that I was younger for too, but I didn't put it on my list. But I will touch on it. I'm sure it's on Dave's. That's why
Mhm.
I didn't say it.
Okay.
So let's go ahead and hear what Dave has to say first.
All right, so I'll start off Super Bowl 31. Packers Patriots. Going back, you talk about mid '90s there. I mean, seeing Brett get a Super Bowl, seeing Reggie White get a Super Bowl. That's definitely one of my tops. Definitely enjoyed that one. Super Bowl 32, I liked even it with Packers and Broncos to see Elway win it. He went so many times and to not come up with a Super Bowl, and that was his first. So those were my first two, and then one of my favorites all time, Super Bowl 34 with the Rams. That goes with seeing the greatest show on turf, Marshall Falk. And my father, seeing him happy as a Rams fan, that meant a lot. And then my other,
Real quick, that is the one that was my honorable mention.
yeah, the
Just
Kevin Dyson
Okay.
in
stretching.
the
I mean
stretch at the
that,
end of the
yeah,
And
I mean
the
that
only
was
reason why
Mike
I know
Jones.
the
It was
game
one,
so much is because you used to have it on VHS,
yes,
and that's like
yes.
why I remember it so much. But
And we used to
yeah,
watch it at the Thousand Islands and
yeah,
pop.
yeah.
So
So
yeah, that
dad
that
is a
was a
Rams
big one.
fan?
My father was a Rams fan.
His
Yes.
dad was a Los
Okay.
Angeles sports fan.
My
Yeah.
brother,
Well.
my
Yeah.
brother's a Rams fan too, so
Yeah.
I
He was
appreciate
an
that.
LA guy.
His
Yeah.
dad was LA.
Yeah. So me and
Yeah.
him would have been going at it for the World Series this year because he was a Dodgers fan.
Jeez.
The only team
Oh
he
man.
didn't like LA was the Chicago Blackhawks, but that was about it. Other than
Yeah,
that, he was LA Dave.
yeah.
LA
New York,
Dave.
LA Dave, and New York Dave.
That's
And
funny.
then to finish my next two, because Nick said do five. I like Super Bowl 45. Getting to see Aaron Rodgers win the Super Bowl. Obviously being a Rodgers guy, I always have since he was at Cal. Seeing him, I mean, and Nick knows that was probably one of the funnest Super Bowls for us too. Because I remember going to the mall and we saw the guys at Premier Sports, and they were supposed to be big Steeler fans, but they had no gear for the Super Bowl that day. Me and Nick were a little confused and dumbfounded by how you'd be a fan with no Super Bowls. And then
I can
I mean,
imagine.
yeah. And then my last one was not too long ago was obviously the Rams and Bengals. So that was my other favorite. To see McVay, see the Rams winning again, see Stafford, and then I like Joe Burrow personally. So it was cool to see the Bengals, the team you wouldn't normally see in the Super Bowl, in the Super Bowl. So
Mhm.
those would be my tops.
Oh,
So we got a
geez.
little bit of undercover Rams fan over here, but I do appreciate
No, no,
the Burrow
no.
love there.
So when I want to touch on the guys at the mall. So we were walking around, and these guys were like, they're going, "We're diehard fans, man, diehard. Need our merch." And I was just sitting there. I was like, why do you need your stuff? I don't understand. if you're just such a big fan and you love your team as much as you're claiming, why do you need to buy your shirt now? Like, I didn't. That was confusing to me. I didn't. But I'm gonna have Zach go next, and we're not undercover Rams fans. I mean, Dave
Well, I'm
has
not saying
always been
Dave might
Rams
be.
supportive to his brother, to his
Okay, I
father.
like it. That's fine.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
like Marshall
My
Falk.
dad didn't start caring about football until the Chiefs started winning. So I don't know.
Mm. All right. So my top five, obviously, 52 is awesome.
Did you say 52?
That was probably, yeah, that was awesome.
Okay.
51 was cool because of the Brady's comeback
Mm-hmm.
against
28-3.
Atlanta. That was that's wild. I don't know where that happens in sports. Super Bowl 47, Baltimore won. Wasn't that was Ray Lewis's last year as a Baltimore Raven, right?
Yep.
So that was sentimental to me. I love Ray Lewis, a little dude, but I liked watching Ray Lewis. 57 was a great Super Bowl, even though we lost.
Yeah.
Watching Jalen Hurts through that game was awesome. So I that's on my list, even though we lost. It was a good feeling to get back there after so long.
So long. It was
Years.
like it was like 4 years.
I know. I could say that now because it was so
It was
long.
5
back
years.
then. I mean, that was
It was 5
it was a long time. It makes sense, right? So
Yeah.
it was a good Super Bowl. We lost, but it was a good one to watch. I like that one.
So long. It took 5
And
years to get
then
back.
Yeah, that's fine. You know,
I want problems like that. I'll tell you that. I got a
we're
top 10
shortening the
first round
gap.
No,
It's
playoff
okay.
spot.
shorter each year.
A couple plays away from winning that one. That was I wouldn't say it was hurtful to me. It was kind of eye opening of what could be. So that was a good one for me. And then 40 Super Bowl 49 when they should have handed the ball to Beast Mode and Seattle lost to the Patriots.
We have similar lists, Zach. I feel like it's because
I
I
kind
shared
of
my
liked
list with you.
the whole like you should have done this and you didn't do that, and that's
Yeah.
kind of the theme in some of the Super Bowls that I liked. So
So,
not really a crazy in depth list. But
all right. Well, I have a lot of stuff written down for mine. So Super Bowl 52 is my number one. It's not even really just because of the Eagles. You have to think of it like from the perspective of this is a backup quarterback coming into the
yeah,
biggest game of his life, and he plays fantastic. And shout out to the man who's about to play his last football game this Sunday, BG, who gets the big strip sack on Tom Brady, and of course, Philly special.
Mhm.
So my next one was Super Bowl 42. David Tyree's helmet catch, beating the undefeated New England Patriots, the greatest football team I ever had the privilege to watch. So I mean, I think even Dave, who's a Jets fan, was like, "Man, Tom Brady, this is the guy right here." So, um, now my list is about to keep going with Brady. So have fun. All right. So my next one is Super Bowl 49, which you brought up, Malcolm Butler's interception there instead of handing the ball off to Marshawn Lynch. And
Easy choice.
it was also the first ever overtime Super Bowl until last year.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty cool. I have Super Bowl 51 um, because I think most everyone turned their TV off. I kept mine on because
Yeah.
I knew that this game was far from over because Tom Brady's playing quarterback. So
Yeah, I was like, he's never gonna lose that bad. Like, what are we talking about
right,
here?
so I kept it on.
Something's gonna happen.
Now I also have Super Bowl 57 on mine. Not because it took us so long to get back, like Zach says, because 5 years is such a long time, but just
Gotta get
because
greedy sometimes.
I watched that was the year that I really started watching the New Heights podcast, right? And then you transition to like, okay, now these two brothers are playing in the Super Bowl, and I like watched them week after week just leading up to it, and it just felt really cool. And I think it also is like what sets the narrative of what the people think the Chiefs are now with the pass interference call by James Bradbury, which was not a pass interference call, by the way, or defensive holding call. I'm sorry. But and then I have another honorable mention besides the Rams. I have Super Bowl 47 down, but not because of the game. Um, I the blackout at halftime, at the
Yeah.
end of halftime, was hilarious.
That was funny.
I
Uh,
forgot. I almost forgot about that. To be honest, now that you mentioned it,
Well, that was a
um,
that's
bad
another
game. If
reason it's on mine.
that's
I
why
just I got back from Florida. I think we were watching that, and it was like Punt City in that
I
one,
was
wasn't it?
I was in college.
Yeah.
I was at the student lounge watching it. It was the first time I was watching like football like around this large group of people. So I remember it, and it was free pizza. That's literally the real reason why I went. I was like, "Oh, free pizza. Okay, cool."
Yeah,
But it was just like a
that
cool.
was that was my like young Super Bowl where I like didn't know as much, but it was still fun to watch, and that was one of the. I remember that because I was a Ray Lewis fan growing up. So
I feel like we have a closet Miami Hurricanes fan.
no, not a chance. Not a chance.
I just had to
I think last time LSU played at Miami, it was 40-3 in the Peach Bowl or something.
well,
I
that's
have
my
a little
list.
souvenir ball from it.
Dude, that's cool.
Yeah,
um,
my uncle's dad went to the game, brought me back a little souvenir.
that's nice. Well, I mean, I feel like this wraps up the first part of this video. It went a lot longer than I thought it was going to go, so this is going to go a lot longer than I wanted, but that is okay. Dave, thank you for showing up. I appreciate you.
I gotta see it.
Jets,
We
let's
will,
give a hand for Jets, Dave.
Jets Dave. We will have you back on to talk about the Jets in the draft because we have to wait a while to pick.
Better get ready for that NFL Combine, buddy.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be up there soon for it. So yeah, I mean, we're
He's getting his credentials.
you know what I mean? Hopefully we grab a quarterback. I'd like to get a future. I mean, I even know we do supposed to have Jordan Travis, but I don't know what that. But I'm happy to see what AG is going to bring to the table and in the new regime. So I'd like to get something stellar, but we'll see.
All
I don't
right.
have
I'm
my
happy
hopes
for you
up.
guys. I'm happy for you guys, though. I think you guys got a good coach. So hopefully, all the best to you guys, and screw you guys if you ever see us in the playoffs.
They can't see us in the playoffs.
We'd be talking for Super Bowl.
Yeah.
That'd be a fun one.
It would be a great
All
one. All right, guys.
All right. Thanks, Dave. I will
Thank
see
you,
you at
Dave.
Christmas.
See you at Christmas.
Thanksgiving?
Easter?
Christmas. Damn, jeez.
Christmas.
Christmas.
All right.
All right.
I'll see you at Christmas, Dave.
So yeah,
Zach's coming. So.
Zach will be there. All right.
Yeah.
See you, Zach.
All right. See you, Dave.
All right.
All right, and we're still here, but we have Collin. Welcome, Collin.
What's up, everybody?
Our Eagles expert, Collin. That's what I'm gonna go with.
Well,
I feel like
expert,
no, definitely, because I feel like Zach's like our Phillies expert here.
Okay.
That's what I'll go with. He's like, and I feel like we got an Eagles expert here,
Well, listen,
Collin.
I've been a fan since I can basically remember. So 32 years old. It's been a long time.
At least
I forgot you're 32. Jesus, you old man.
Hey,
29.
Watch it.
I'm only 29, so I'm still young enough.
Watch it.
I can
I'll be
make those
32. I'll be
comments and run
32.
away.
I'll be 32 in 2 months, Zach. So let's chill out with this, okay? When baseball season's going on, I was a 32-year-old here.
We'll get the retirement homes signed up for you guys. We'll get the brochures. We'll get you guys going, all right?
I feel like I need one.
I would love a nice retirement home. Why are you acting like that's a bad thing?
I'm coming with you. I don't know what you're talking about.
Sign me up. All right. Let's get into
right.
this.
So, Zach, why don't you start us off? Because this is all of your doing. So why don't you give us a quick start off here with what we're reading, what we're starting with?
Yeah. So now it's all about the Birds talk. I mean, long season. I think everybody on this three-way panel thought we'd end up here, in New Orleans.
Yeah,
so let's get into it.
Honestly, if this was the Super Bowl, I kind of envisioned. I mean, I thought Buffalo might have a chance, but I told y'all last week when we did the AFC NFC stuff that Chiefs are just this was lined up and destined to be. So I'm glad. I'm glad we got it.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, before you got here, we touched on this a little bit. I mean, I feel like this is what everyone expected, and this is where we are.
It was talked about since the beginning of the year.
I mean, it was talked about since last year.
Yeah, you're right. But on a national, if you watch ESPN or you watch the Colin Cowards of the world or the facility if you're a Fox Sports dude. I don't know what anybody likes to watch, but I'm sure you're a sports fan who watch one of them. Y'all know that people have been kind of up and down on us all year, but it's kind of been a general consensus that it was either us or Detroit that was gonna represent the NFC. And as weird as the Chiefs' year has been, I know a lot of people go, the refs helped them out. I'm not really one of these big people on believing that the refs are helping the Chiefs. What I will say is Patrick Mahomes. I'm gonna refrain from saying the words I'd like to say, but Patty likes to just you put two fingers on a dude and he hits the ground, and the refs just get baited and throwing flags for really, really egregious flops. He is the LeBron James of the NFL.
This is the second time LeBron James has been brought up on this
Well,
video.
I mean, listen, everybody knows what LeBron's done most of his career. If you're any sort of like casual NBA fan, you've seen the videos. He's a 6'10", 260-pound man. Like nobody should be able to knock him over.
I love LeBron. LeBron's my favorite
And people like hit him with an arm, and he's like,
exactly. I'm so happy something fell when that just happened. That just made it.
No, it was intended. We need to.
No, I love LeBron. I don't really love Patty, but I love LeBron.
I do love LeBron. I've enjoyed his entire career, but to me, Mahomes, LeBron, if you look at like their careers and how they're officiated, it's a lot of the same shit. And I mean, hey, listen, they're great players. Great players deserve and demand respect from the officials. Yeah. So I can't really get into I can't get into this whole, and that's what I was saying before. Like, I'm not one of these big believers in like the refs are treating this guy a certain way. Like, listen, bro, you earn that right. If you're a no-name player in the league, yeah, you're gonna get called. You're not gonna get shit. Like, it's just the way it is. But if you're literally the face of the NFL, they treat you different, dude.
Well, great players get great calls, whether they're good or bad. It still turns out to be a great call.
That's true as well. I don't like the whole narrative, and I'll tell you what, some of these Super Bowl interviews are so bad, bro.
Yeah.
Who let some of these
Media Day was great.
Media Day, bro? Like, why is Jameis Winston walking around asking everybody what team he?
Hey, I enjoyed Jameis Winston. I will vouch for that man.
Listen, not just saying. Why is he there asking everybody where he should go play next year?
Hey, man's looking for a job. He's got to, be out there.
As great as Jameis Winston was, my favorite is still the guy who goes, Jalen, my girlfriend thinks you're the most attractive quarterback in the NFL. How can I be better looking? And Jalen goes, I don't know how to help with that. It seems like a DNA thing.
Yeah.
I was dead. I didn't know what.
Cold cut to the point. We got a Super Bowl to win, baby.
AJ's was funny today. I thought AJ didn't look like he wanted to be there at all, but
yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Who are these reporters? Like, bro, who do you let in the media day?
I feel like we could have gotten the media day.
I'm honestly, I'm pretty sure if you have a ticket, you can just show up and start asking questions.
We could. I think we should start a GoFundMe for next year because we'll be back there anyway. So
I'm with it because that's ridiculous.
I'll get a little mic and with a cord and shit. Fred Johnson, how you doing, man? I'll ask some questions. I don't give a shit. I'll ask some good ones too. Get the people some insight.
I'm asking funny ones.
I was gonna say, if I get one question, I'm gonna do a lot better. What's your favorite color? I'm
throwing W's at people.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the W's were cool. Eat them up.
No,
Eat them up.
I love it. Through it to AJ is like, I'll wait till after the game to eat that.
And Jalen was like ducking. He's like,
Jalen ducked.
Jameis could throw, man.
I thought the other good one was there was a reporter from Austria. I think it was Austria. Saquon's press conference because I guess when he was with the Giants, they had a dude that came out of the same program that Mailata came out of, so like one of those international programs. That dude was from Austria, played offensive lineman, blah blah blah. But actually, no, he was in the running back room. I'm sorry, he was a running back. Obviously, was a practice squad player. Like I don't even know the dude's name, but he point of this whole thing is at the end of the interview or at the end of his questions, he asked like Saquon 3 questions, and at the end of his questions, he gave him this little like Austrian wafer, and Saquon looks at it and he's like, he goes, "Is this chocolate?" The dude was like, "No, it's like cookie wafer." And Saquon opens up. He's like, "Oh." He goes, thanks. So I'm like, he is not eating that fucking thing on Super Bowl week, bro. You're crazy. You're talking about a dude who like probably has one of the most insane diets when he's in the football season, and you're giving him a piece of chocolate to eat on Super Bowl week.
He didn't even know a quesadilla was Mexican food.
Yeah. But let's get to some Eagles talk here with
why don't I want to start with the first point you made, Zach, and then we'll carry on from there. Why don't you give us a read?
So, I mean, I guess the biggest thing in my mind, as far as from the previous Super Bowl to this rematch, is Saquon Barkley was not a big topic in Philadelphia. He wasn't on our team. Now he is, and he's had a crazy good season. Andy Reid and Spagnuolo have never faced Saquon Barkley. When they faced the Giants, he was hurt.
Yep.
That was really years ago. I get that. But what does that kind of do for this matchup, and how do we see that kind of playing out?
Honestly,
is it something that,
out of all the things that I was super surprised by in this matchup, that was probably the one stat that I was like mind blown by. Andy Reid and Spags have never played Saquon Barkley. Yeah, because I was like you. I was like, they had to have played the Giants, and then I was like, wait, what the fuck? He's hurt? I'm like
I know they played him, but they didn't play him.
Right, exactly. So that I don't know how much of a true advantage it is, because put it this way, Spags
even if they did play him, that was a totally different offensive line.
I was just gonna say there's two things that make this a very interesting thing. One, the Giants don't even have close to an offensive line that we do, so you can't even compare it from that perspective. But Spags' defense is not a player-based defense. You're not trying to take away somebody, like, in that sense. He's a scheme-based defense. He's trying to take one part of your game away. It's not going to be predicated on one player. It's going to be predicated on winning up front, stacking the box. He's going to scheme up a way to slow the run game down. He knows he's not going to stop it. He's going to try to slow it down. I'm going to tell you right now, probably won't happen, because I texted you, Zach, this earlier in the week. Bro, the Chiefs gave up 150 yards on the ground to the Texans. Joe Mixon had about 88. C.J. Stroud had another, 40-something on the ground. All right. That's Joe Mixon and C.J. Stroud, bro.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, all right, we want to take that. That's game one in the playoffs, right? That might be an outlier. Well, let's go look at the Buffalo game. James Cook had 120 yards on the ground. James Cook. I'm going to say that one more time. James Cook had 120 yards.
James.
Yeah, James. Dalvin's little brother. So I get the Chiefs have a great defense. I get all this.
They really don't, though, man. Come on.
No. They do.
They're middle of the pack defense. They're middle of the pack. They have a good coach. But it's not translating to a top defense in the league. We know this. Because look at their defensive stats compared to the Eagles. It's not the same.
I understand that. But my point here is they give up a ton of yards. They are like our defense last year. It's a bend, don't break type thing. It's very different from what we have here. But
They legit walked the line to bend, don't break. They're 16th in the league in total yards. They legit walked that line and hope Patrick Mahomes just tosses one up and one score game we win.
It's always been a keep it close kind of defense. They don't play to win. They play to keep it close.
I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but just
no, it's not a bad thing. It's just completely different from what we have.
The metrics look so skewed in the Eagles' favor on both sides of the ball.
Well, I was going to say that.
I don't even know how the Chiefs are favorites.
The other thing, I was going to get into that with you as well. But the other thing that I see in this is if you somehow find a way, and no one's been able to do it all year long, and I don't think the Chiefs have the recipe, like I just said. But if they figure out a way to slow down Saquon, that means that you are overloading the box. There's no other way. Okay. That's leaving that you have to leave your corners one-on-one. And Zach, this brings up to your next point. Smitty is going to cook in this game because they are going to double and bracket AJ Brown at every chance they get. So if they run single high safety, that means that safety is shading to AJ Brown's side of the field every fucking time. I promise you that with every ounce of being in my body, because what do the Eagles love to do when it's single man and your DB's down playing press coverage? They're going straight to AJ Brown. So if you're playing one high safety, he's going straight to that man's side. So who do you hit? It's a Dallas Goedert Smitty game. and just it's what it is, man.
Well, see, the thing is, the Chiefs tried to do that last time in the Super Bowl, and Jalen Hurts kind of cooked them. I mean, we were running posts that were crispy, slants across the middle. So try and bracket A.J. Brown. It doesn't work. No one can cover him. He is
304
always
passing yards in Super Bowl 57.
Yeah.
300.
Let's negate this talk about Jalen isn't him, because Jalen obviously has already done it and didn't have a running back like Saquon Barkley. This whole game plan is totally different, and I think Andy Reid and Spagnuolo are sitting there in their office right now going, "Oh shit,
listen,
what are we supposed to do right now?"
The Chiefs got their hands full. They know this is going to be a tall mountain to climb to hit the three-peat, just because. The Chiefs match.
You know what the weird part is? The whole media day looked like the whole media day to me for the Chiefs looked like we're happy to be here, and the Eagles are like, we're going to take care of business. That's what it looked like to me. It was a lot more, to the point and focused.
Something that struck me last week watching the AFC NFC championship recap that the NFL put out was the intensity that the Birds had going into the game against Washington versus how the Chiefs looked going into that game against Buffalo. It was like, and it was very much to your point there, is that I felt like where like the pregame speech for the Chiefs was just like we're one game away from our destination. Whereas the Eagles, the whole talk was, oh man, we got 2 games. We gotta get through this and the next one. We're not finished yet until we have the next game in hand. And you saw that when even in the post-game speeches, both teams were completely different. So I do agree with you, Zach. I do think the Chiefs have kind of, listen, man, it's hard to keep the same fire in you 3 years in a row. Especially when you're reaching the pinnacle of the sport like this.
It's almost like they're playing themselves. Like they're playing the Eagles, but they're also playing themselves.
There is going to be a mental aspect of it for them. I do believe that, because for 2 reasons. One, you have the pressure of the three-peat playing on you. Okay? Everybody's put this, like, it wasn't real until it becomes real. Like, this whole talk of three-peat does not matter until you're there in the game. Now it's fucking real.
Ask Tom Brady about it.
I was just gonna say, ask Tom. And you're talking about one of the most competitive, like most stone cold dudes of all time to ever play sports. Like right up there with Jordan as far as being like a straight assassin on the field. Like Brady didn't show emotion. He wasn't like this highly charged dude. And that's what blows my mind with all the Jalen Hurts slander. Like, you never saw Tom Brady go out there juiced as hell. He wasn't like this amazing dude at the podium.
You see the flashes on the sidelines and stuff, but look at the mic'd up stuff that we saw of Jalen.
Well,
I'm him, man.
I was just gonna say,
I loved that.
You saw the You saw the shit with Brady. Like, he'd go over, he'd slam his helmet, he'd sit on the sideline by himself. Like, there were times that Gronk would come over to him and Brady would like straight up walk away from him. Nobody ever fucking dared challenge him, because obviously the dude won Super Bowls. Like, I get that, but it's crazy to me how you can treat one dude so one way and the other dude so differently. But again, that's the NFL. That's sports.
Yeah.
But dude, there's so many storylines to this that it blows my mind.
I do want to point out one thing though. Everybody's kind of like put Jalen Hurts down, and since the last time the Eagles played Mahomes in the Super Bowl, Jalen Hurts he's beat Mahomes, he's beat Jackson, he's beat Burrow, he's beat Mayfield, he's beat Allen, he's beat Wilson, he's beat Jaden Daniels twice, he's beat Jordan Love twice, he's beat Stafford 3 freaking times since the last time he's played in the Super Bowl. So don't tell me that this man can't win big games.
I've heard guys that get talked about being the best quarterbacks in the NFL, but yet I see Jalen beating them.
And
I don't see
is
Josh
I literally
Allen
heard a list today where he was like the 14th ranked best player in the Super Bowl.
I'm gonna say this. Yeah, that's fucking
absurd.
Crazy. That's absurd.
He should be top 5. He is top 5.
I was gonna say
he is one of the most important pieces and one of the best athletes on the field.
Yeah, you should probably be number 3 or 4. because I'd personally have it.
We did this before. For me, it goes Pat Mahomes, Jalen
Mahomes
Carter, and then it goes Jalen Hurts or Saquon
I was
Barkley,
gonna say
whichever one you want to kind of game plan.
Mahomes, Saquon, they're interchangeable in that 1-2 spot depending on what you want.
I put Jalen Carter there because I think Jalen Carter is the missing piece to contain Patrick Mahomes. That's my whole point.
I understand that. That's why I was going to go say JC 3. I just don't know if JC is going to have listen, bro. Here's the one problem that the Eagles defense is going to have. The two best players on their offensive line are technically their center and their right guard.
Yeah.
Which is what's going to be double teaming JC most of the game.
Is it Humphrey and Tooney? But that's been happening all year long, and it has not mattered because of these other pieces.
I understand that, and I was gonna say I think the other pieces are gonna feast in this game. I don't think this is gonna be like a JC 3-sack, 2-sack game.
Honestly, I kind of do think it's going to be a JC kind of game. And to be honest, I think because of the fact that the problem I see is the center and the right guard or the guard. I think it's going to be kind of a weird kind of game plan where they're not going to really double team him, and he's going to be like, "Well, I'm not double teamed. What am I supposed to do?" And he has to capitalize. I think it's going to be more because there's so many other pieces on this defensive line.
I think Andy Reid's ballsy enough to leave Creed Humphrey or Thuney. Andy.
I see where you're coming from. I do agree.
Something. Andy understands our pass rush philosophy. Because it really hasn't changed much since the Jim Johnson era. And I mean, now that Vic's in town, we've kind of really reverted back to the Jim Johnson era. So, Andy understands that pass rush philosophy. There's not a chance in hell he's going to leave JC one-on-one. I mean, you might see it a couple times just to give a different look. And I do think
the problem I see is that I think that'll happen more often when it's two backs.
Correct.
And I think they're going to use a lot of two backs because that's their biggest on offense other than Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes is those two backs.
Yeah, you're right. The two back has become their big thing. I put it this way. I'm very, very hesitant to say this, but I think we win this by 2 touchdowns. No bullshit. I really don't think this is going to be a great Super Bowl. I mean, I think
34-25. 34-25. Not 10 points, but close enough. And it dubbed.
I could get behind that. I was at 31-14.
Well, my whole philosophy. I'm sorry, we're going off on a tangent. My whole philosophy behind that is, I think early we're going to shut down the Chiefs' offense and they're going to kick field goals. And I've been a preacher of this. I'll take 3 over 6 or 7 every freaking time.
I believe that.
I think that's kind of the key to our success is early stops and field goals.
I will say one thing about this game. If we do stop them early, I think that holds true to what you just said, Zach, because Andy's not a gambler. Never has been.
No, he's going to take the points.
He's going to take the points. He's always been that kind of a guy. And listen, bro, the only thing I can say here is the only way the Eagles lose this game is if they beat themselves. We have won.
My philosophy is the only way we lose this game is Nick Sirianni gets too overconfident. That's my only way we lose this game.
That's been the Eagles, though. That is the Philadelphia Eagles in the Nick Sirianni.
But recently he's been a lot more conservative, and I don't want him to get ballsy in the playoffs. I want him to stick to the formula.
I was just going to say, I want the formula to be the same. What got us here needs to stick to. Okay.
Keep the main thing the main thing.
Keep the main thing the main thing.
Yeah.
What got us through Green Bay and what got us through Washington needs to stay the same when we go in and play the Chiefs. No fancy shit. No getting cute. I don't want to see Jalen try and go out there and throw for 350 in the Super Bowl because he thinks he wants to want to prove something. That shit needs to happen. All right. The recipe all year has been give the ball to Saquon 25 to 30 times. He's going to pop at least one run, and I promise you in this game he will pop at least one run. It's going to happen. He'll have a 40-plus yard run. He'll have that touchdown. It's going to happen. This Chiefs defense is not that good against the run, bro.
And that's the thing. Jalen knows this going into it too. He knows that he doesn't need to throw the ball. He wants there's no need to throw the ball.
I truly do believe that this team has shed all cares about the bullshit that the media wants to put about you're supposed to win this way. AJ Brown doesn't like Jalen Hurts because he's not getting the ball. Jalen's a terrible quarterback because he can't throw for 350. Like, I truly believe that none of them care. I've watched enough interviews.
None of them need to do any of those things to win a football game because they all realize like it's all us. We all have to do our job. I can rush for 100 yards and he can throw for 200, and we still win the game.
I think the best answer to that was what Jalen gave today when they asked him. I don't know if it was today or yesterday, but when they asked him about what AJ Brown's role will be in this game, and he said, everybody all year long. And he kind of gave one of those, Jalen Hurts cryptic answers, but like it was true all year long. These guys everybody's had to leave their print on a game in some way, shape, or form. Couldn't just it wasn't always a Saquon game. It wasn't always an AJ Brown game. You had games where Dallas Goedert went off. You had games where Smitty went off. And as he kind of made it sound like it's by design, but in reality, it is by design. Like when you have this many guys on an offense, you do have to become selfless as a player and just kind of let things ride. Let the dice roll the way they roll. Like let it fall. Let chips fall the way they fall. Right? You can't make every play. And I know as a wide receiver, that's terrible to hear. Like Zach's been there.
God.
He knows. Like no wideout wants to hear that. No running back wants to hear that. But no quarterback wants to hear it. You tell a quarterback nowadays they can't throw for 300? Like, yo, listen, our game plan is you throw for like 100, 150. You'll get a couple tutties, but we only want you throwing the ball at 25.
And
most quarterbacks are going to look at you and be like, bro, what?
And to 31 other quarterbacks in the league, that matters.
I was just going to say, the 31 other quarterbacks, you couldn't even get one of these guys to sign up for that.
Yeah.
You couldn't, like, you'd say, hey, we'll pay you $50 million a year to come do this. It'd be like, yeah, but I don't get to be like the star of the show. Because listen, as a quarterback, you have that type A personality. You want to be the man. There isn't a single starting quarterback making that kind of money in the NFL that is going to get that. You know what I mean? Like, you don't. Mm-hmm. Listen, the reason Carson Wentz isn't here anymore is because he couldn't handle that.
Yeah.
You watched it play out here in Philadelphia. Like,
shout out to Carson Wentz.
Honestly, shout out Carson Wentz. I saw a very, very cool little tidbit with him. Somebody asked him about like what he thought of Hurts' journey to get to this point. I thought he had a very cool answer to that. So
I used to have a poster of that man on my wall in my living room. Carson Wentz, one of my favorite human beings to ever exist in the world, and not just because of football, just because I think he's an all-around good guy.
He's a good dude. I don't know why he gets such a bad rap.
He sleeps with his jersey on every night. So
I still have it. I bought it at the link actually. I wanted a white one. I couldn't find a white one online for whatever reason, but I bought it at the link when I went. I was like, I need to buy it.
I love that.
But
I love that. Listen, man, and in all honesty, Carson won us our first Super Bowl. I mean, I understand he got hurt. Nick Foles really did it, but like we don't get there without Carson Wentz. Like,
I just rewatched the Super Bowl 52 like NFL Films video, and it's a Carson Wentz highlight reel.
It is a highlight
that
reel.
whole thing, bro. And it's so much fun to watch.
Listen, bro, there's one play that he had that I will never ever forget. We're playing Washington at home. He's wrapped up. He's like buried in the line,
and they're saying he's down.
Somehow. Broadcast is like, he's down. Carson Wentz is sacked, 6-yard loss. Oh, wait, no. He's breaking through. Let's go. 39 yards. Oh, my God. Like, the craziest shit I've ever seen. It was. And he looked so weird running down the field, but it was like, honestly, the craziest. I've never seen something so wild in my life. I'll never forget it.
It was special, man. It was special. It was so special. But as much as I love Carson, we can't talk about Carson right now because he's going to be on the bench. Unless if Pat gets hurt, which I don't want to happen.
Hey, Patrick Mahomes is on the injury report with an ankle, like he's been for the past 3 years.
I was just going to say, his ankle's been on the injury report. seems
All
like
right,
every
so
time we get to the Super Bowl, he's got an ankle sprain.
I had to check today, and he was on there, so
I
just
didn't
thought I'd
even
mention
look
it.
at it.
Yeah, speaking of that, who do we have on our injury report? We got what's the status on
So
Cam and Lane? Landon,
So,
not Lane.
injury report: Cam Jurgens back, full practice. Landon Dickerson knee, full practice. Lane is not on the
I was
injury
gonna say Lane's
report.
not gonna be on there. I was talking to
Jalen
him.
Carter was out for
Yeah.
illness. I think they
Well,
said he has like the flu.
I think
Flu bit.
Man,
JC.
that
No,
flu is fucking
JC.
killing you guys in
JC has the
Pennsylvania.
media flu. Okay.
Yeah,
The media
I think
flu.
so.
Well, no.
But other than that, I mean, everybody else limited practice. You got Kenny Gainwell, Brandon Graham, and Devontae Smith, hamstring, elbow, and concussion knee,
Okay.
all limited practice. Everybody else is full
I
practice
think
with
the
their injuries,
Eagles
so
did this
good to
on
go.
purpose with JC.
No, you're absolutely right. You don't want Jalen Carter talking to the media.
I was just gonna say I don't think that the Birds or Jalen Carter want to be talking to the Super Bowl media.
Yeah.
That's the can of worms that I think PR wants to stay away from.
Yeah,
And I think
definitely.
I think for the betterment of Jalen Carter's life and career, it's best he just stay away from that at this point in time. So that's why I said I think that's the media flu, because realistically, if he doesn't practice, he has no media obligations. So if I,
mean,
had
even
to guess,
for his mental health as
and
well.
I'm just saying this. Well, that's what I'm saying. They can cite mental health or whatever, but I'm just saying this as a Birds fan. I hope, pray God, he's not actually sick, because we need that boy. But if I had
he seemed fine the other day.
I was
So
just gonna say, if I had to really guess, I think this is a good play by the Eagles trying to protect one of their best players from the debauchery that is.
Yeah, definitely.
Howie Roseman strong pull moves, you know.
No, that's a Don DeSanjo.
Yeah, well, I mean, they all participate.
They do
They
all
have meetings
participate,
together.
but I can promise you that Big Dom was like, "Yeah, boys, this ain't happening.
Yeah. This guy is my guy this week.
This cannoli is not going out there."
Yeah.
So we touched on it a little bit. I really like the wording of this. And I want to touch a little bit more that the Eagles are better in every stat category.
Yeah.
Every stat category. They're on paper the better football team. On the field, they're the better football team. I've said all year the Chiefs are the worst. Well, they were 15-1 at the time. 15-1 football team I've ever seen. Now they're 15-2 because they played a bullshit game versus Broncos. Anyway, but the worst, best football team I've ever seen. And they really are. We're not playing. We're playing the idea of a three-peat, not really the.
Yeah, we're not playing the 3P contender. I'm gonna say this: the team that we played in 22, the Chiefs team that we played in 22, was a much better squad than what we're facing today. And the Eagles squad that we had back then was comparable to what I think the Chiefs were put on the field. That is not the case this time around. The Chiefs are not even close to talent-wise what we have. I mean, they're can match up anybody on their roster and say, yes, he's significantly better than what we have on the Eagles roster. And that includes the quarterback position.
Yeah. I know I brought up earlier about how bad the Chiefs were, you know, defensively and everything. You know, they're a middle of the pack team. But at the same time, it's weird kind of thinking, and I know I'm kind of weird with my thought process anyway. But
you're kind of weird in general.
When you're middle of the pack, you're kind of balanced. You're not top heavy in this, you know, your linebackers are lights out, and then, you know, there's no catches for over 5 yards, but, you know, it's still the fact of you're giving up over 300 yards a game and over 200 yards passing. And I guess our team is not the best at passing, but.
This goes back to what I was saying before. Spags plays especially this year, it's been very bend don't break type D.
Yeah.
They're not like bottom of the league in points allowed. They're up there in yards allowed, pass yards, you know, all those categorical stats, yards wise, terrible. They don't give up.
But overall stuff, they're top 10.
Yeah, I was gonna say they don't give up a ton of points. They don't give up a ton of. They get people off the field when they need to get people off the field. They're an opportunistic defense. They play stout when they need to play stout. Okay, but again, I'm gonna say this. I don't know how I can't stop saying this. They have not played an offensive line or a running back of this caliber all season. And they gave up 150 to the Texans and 120 to James Cook. What
Yeah,
do
I was
you
reading wrong.
think that this Eagles team is going to do to that Chiefs defense?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
No.
are you good, Zach?
Yeah. No, I was just looking at some stuff. I misspoke. I was looking at the Chief offensive stats when I said they were top 10 in like category.
Yeah, they're not. They're not.
They're more middle of the pack on defense. I mean, overall 12th, but yeah, I was looking at the wrong stuff. I apologize.
No, you're fine. You're fine. I mean, they're here for a reason still. That is something we do have to remember.
Yeah.
And I mean, how many people in the history of sports have been able to three-peat in any sport? I mean,
Michael Jordan,
Yankees. And
Celtics.
Okay, so that means you're
back in the
comparing
day.
Derek Jeter. You're comparing Derek Jeter. You're comparing Michael Jordan. Like, these are
All right, but we can compare those. Look at Patrick Mahomes and the success he's had. He's that kind of player. So and let's face it. In 2000, what was it when the Phillies played the Yankees in, was it 09?
2009.
The Phillies were the better team overall, in my opinion. I thought so.
I disagree with
when
that.
I look back at it. I don't.
I do.
I think theoretically everything looks better on my side. But either way, you're playing the aura of Derek Jeter and the New York
come
Yankees.
back to this.
We'll get there one day. Yeah. But you're playing the aura of the New York Yankees and 27 championships now. 20, you're playing that aura in Derek Jeter. You're not playing the Kansas City Chiefs and their 3 Super Bowl wins in their history. You're playing a guy going for a three-peat now. Just like you did with the Patriots. Same thing. And look what happened last time. That didn't happen.
All right, so we had some technical difficulties.
Sorry about that, folks.
But we're back. And I don't really know how much more we have left. Is there anything that you guys really want to say to bring up, or
my last point?
I mean, other. How do we think it's going to end, boys?
First win by.
How do I think it's going to end? I think it's going to end with Philadelphia having a very, very large party on Broad Street. That's how I think it's going to end. And Bourbon Street, because
it's going to be.
Told you all my score predictions. So I'm right there with you. I think party on Broad Street is going to be.
Party on Bourbon Street.
Party on
Bourbon, Broad,
party
whatever.
Broad. It's all going to be
Bourbon and Broads. Bourbon and Broads.
So, for all my Philly folks.
Yeah, I mean, this is
Bourbon on Broad.
Bourbon on Broads. This is the.
just saying. Philly,
whatever floats your boat, buddy.
There is.
Not shoot guns, Chapman, and.
Let's not do anything
please
stupid. Don't do anything stupid. And maybe don't climb the poles in New Orleans, because they will fall down and you will get really hurt.
Yeah. Very old poles. Don't do that. They're not good in Philadelphia. They're not good in New Orleans. I promise you.
And those are, I mean, let's not damage
They won't be greased down in New Orleans.
No, but they will.
No, they ain't greasing those poles, but they're just gonna fall. They'll be disintegrated.
You probably will
it's
die.
just gonna poof.
Yeah. You probably will die, and you will be fed to an alligator, and it won't be fun.
Whoa.
So,
what a way to dispose of.
Oh, I mean, you got to get rid of it quick.
Hey,
I think it's better.
Economically, it's great.
It's great. Economically, you're saving money. But yeah, don't do anything stupid. If you even made it this far in the video and you're watching us, be safe. This isn't Philadelphia, and
I'm gonna probably go out and party on Broad Street, have myself a good time. But for real, let's
be safe. This is what we don't want anything bad to happen. I mean, I don't want to see anyone dying again like the NFC Championship game. I don't want any of that. Just be safe out there, and I'm excited. We should all be excited because this team is special.
No, this is gonna be a super fun Super Bowl. Birds by 2 touchdowns. Huh?
We're about to enter the stage of knowing what it's like to win multiple championships in the city of Philadelphia. That is an NFL championship.
Oh, one last point.
Yes.
Here. Dynasty. If we win, do we start throwing the D word around? It would be two.
I think you have to. You have to because of this young defense.
I was also going to say it's been two appearances in 4 years. It would be 2 wins in what?
7.
7. Yeah. So
contractually, yes, I would say this should be if we win a dynasty because offense and defense things are locked up, people are paid, and
I really do think that
not much is going to be changing other than maybe we trade for Myles Garrett.
No, I know. I do want. That's not possible.
Oh, one other thing. I have one other thing to touch on.
There you go for it.
And it's the fact that we're going to see Brandon Graham out there on Sunday.
Oh yeah, BG.
And that is, if anything, even if he's not out there that much. I know he said he's not playing if he's not 100%. But just knowing that 55 is going to be out there for this is super special, and I am so happy that he's going to be on the field.
It is, and
it's a big boost for my ego.
I think what you'll see 55 get is probably like that 6 to 12 snaps that Bryce Huff was getting.
Yeah.
And realistically, Bryce Huff.
It'll be a lot more effective.
Healthy scratch for this game if 55 suits up. So.
Imagine that. What, $17 million a year to be a healthy scratch in the Super Bowl? Sign me up.
I was just gonna say,
sign me up, boss.
I'm good.
No, this is one of those things. I wasn't sure if he was going to be able to play next year. I know he was saying that I didn't think it was going to happen. So just knowing that he's going to be out there, this is the last time.
It's literally us and me
and
he said it's really the last hurrah.
If there's like a Eagles legend who doesn't get the credit that he deserves, it's Brandon Graham.
I remember the day we drafted him.
So do I. He wore 54.
Yeah, I remember the day we drafted him, and everybody was like, "Who is this guy that we just drafted in the first round? Andy Reid's an idiot. Get this guy
Nope,
out of
Andy
here."
Reid is a genius, and this is why we're playing against him.
But
but
listen, man, I distinctly remember that, and Brandon Graham was like the very first of these hybrid defensive end linebacker type dudes. Like a dude that was very small, fast, twitchy, put him on the edge, and he balled out. I mean, it took him a couple years to find the strength to get through the offensive tackle, but once he did, he balled out. Been here for 3 seasons. I mean,
and
the way I look at it is he was effective for 13 of those 15 seasons.
But
either way, birds by 10.
Birds by 10. I got birds by... I said 7 earlier, I think.
I said 35-14 earlier. I'm going to bump the Chiefs 3 points. I'm going to give them the field goal we were talking, but 35-17 is my final answer. Go Birds.
34-25 right here, baby.
And you know what?
It
doesn't matter what the score is as long as we keep the main thing the main thing, and we get the W, and we are celebrating like it's the first time all over again. Zach, do you have anything to say?
Go Birds, baby. This is the one, baby.
Go Birds.
Go.